everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Dayton Drama Queens. We want to thank you. We're getting more and more views. Remember, anywhere you can get a podcast or a video cast, we're there. So check us out. I do want to let you all know, once again, Philip is not with us. Due to the success of the Big Gay Jamboree, Philip has been taken away, and things are just booming for him right now. So I'm proud of you, Philip, and we miss you. But he will be back, probably on our next podcast. We also want to thank Square One Salon and Spa for their continued support of this fabulous video podcast. Today, we have a very special podcast. We're talking to what was formerly Dare to Defy and now is called TheatreLab. Two of the members of that are here with us to talk today a little bit about TheatreLab, its history, where it's headed, so much excitement related to that. This is Mackensie King and David Moyer, and they're going to talk to us a little bit about what's going on. So first of all, tell us a little bit about what you do for TheatreLab. What's your connection to that organization? Mackensie?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the artistic director for TheatreLab. My main job with TheatreLab is to make sure that what we are doing every year is artistically all cohesive, making sure that we're choosing pieces that really speak to us as artists and also the community and like what we're experiencing. So I oversee all that.
That's kind of fun.
It is
You
fun.
get to like dig in and figure out what, like, I want to do this show and I want to do, I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I can go to New York, see a show, and write it off.
Oh my God, which is really perfect, actually. And what do you do, David?
I'm probably the exact opposite. So.
Where she's exciting.
Yeah, her job is exciting. Mine is the behind the scenes, the stuff, the non-glamorous stuff.
Yes.
You know, it is a 501c3 organization, as most arts organizations are not for profit, and the funding comes from the community. It comes from sponsors. It comes from donors, and so we don't want to belabor the artistic staff to have to do that. So the board works on that in the background to support the artistic staff.
Right, and this is your first go-round with TheatreLab as the board president.
It is, yeah. I've managed not-for-profits before and arts organizations. This is my first time with TheatreLab. It's a whole different beast. I mean, there's a lot of working parts, a lot of moving parts, but you know, we're getting there, and it's a fun ride.
Yes, and so what I love about TheatreLab, and I think a lot of people talk about this, you choose venues that are outside of the same kind of norm. So tell us about some of the venues you guys have done in the past as a theater organization.
Absolutely. So we've done like traditional spaces, of course, Victoria Theater, things like that. But we've gone really outside of that. We use wedding venues. We've used barns. We're going to use Mudlick.
Yes, tavern,
upstairs. So I think we've used our rehearsal space even, which is just kind of a big open room. So we really want to take art to the community versus bringing the community to us.
And I know that's one thing people comment on. They're always like, oh my God, it was so cool because we weren't in a typical theater, which, you know, that's kind of the way of the world right now. It's like you were saying, meet people where they are, which is great.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about you guys, the whole idea that we've got to get youth back into the theater, kind of buying tickets and being part of this and participating? Do you feel it?
Yeah, I mean that's the lifeblood of it, right?
Right.
Because you have your steady theater goers that have been going to theater for 30, 40 years.
Right.
But you know, when we had the pandemic that happened, a lot of people didn't have access to live theater. They didn't grow up with it. They weren't exposed to it the way that we were. And so now we're, you know, really working on re-engaging them. Showing them, you know, what they missed out on those 4 years that we were just locked up.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's really important because that is our next generation.
Yes.
Those are the people that are going to continue the tradition, continue the art form, and so we want to get them excited.
Yeah, it's important, and the material you choose is important. I think that's how, you know, from my perspective, we keep people engaged. We choose art that these younger generations want to hear, and then we take traditional pieces and we flip them on their head, a la Sweeney Todd's set currently, and things like that.
Yes, which is great.
Yeah.
So, you know, speaking of that, and you're talking about the idea of theater for young people, I know you guys also have an educational component at TheatreLab. What can you tell me?
Yeah, absolutely. Every year we do theater camps. We have theater camp for the younger generation, so just starting 6 to 10-year-olds who want to learn what is theater, what is singing, how do I act.
Right.
And then we do a more intense theater camp for those kids that have had theater and really want to turn it into a career outside of just passion, so they know that that's what they're going to be going into. So we offer that every year. We also offer voice lessons.
Oh, fun.
And
And
Master
even
classes,
dance. I like
dance classes.
Dance classes,
Yep.
things of that nature, yeah. And so also going to picking those shows, which is kind of cool. I know you guys do a little bit of like, not your normal way of picking shows. There's something coming up, I think, this year that is written by someone local. So how does that happen? How does somebody get involved if they had a play or had a show? How would they reach out to TheatreLab and say, I think I have a piece of material that might work?
Absolutely. They can submit if you go to our website, theatrelabdayton.org. You'll
You can
see
say
there.
that again later,
Yeah,
yes.
theatrelabdayton.org. You can go on there and you'll see my email.
Yeah.
And you can submit your materials to me. And then I take that back to our board and I take that back to our sponsors and we read that material. We're passionate about art and specifically the art that Dayton wants to create.
Yes.
So we're
Yes.
doing, a new reading this year from someone from Dayton. We did one just, not too long ago, and we'll continue to do that. So please send your stuff our way.
I totally love that. And so, David, your board structure, I mean, it's a little bit different than most board structures. I think what TheatreLab does well is you kind of adjust. Yeah. So where do you see the future of TheatreLab going from here? What's going to happen? Because I think it's exciting that there's, new blood.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're trying to build on that. Dayton is such a cultural hub, and we're trying to build on that. And like Mackensie said so eloquently, we're trying to bring the art, to the people and really let the people tell us what they want to hear from us. We don't want to operate inside of a bubble. And that can happen sometimes. We see arts organizations go through this all the time. So I think to operate on the outside of that bubble, let the community communicate with us what they want, what they need, what excites them, and then try to make that happen.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I think, there's so many theater groups that are struggling. A lot of people still after COVID are trying to figure it out. I think that's a key to the whole piece of the puzzle. What do you want? Because we know what we want, and sometimes that kind of can be not good. Yeah. So it's a good idea to go outside. How do you get information from the community about what they want? What do you do to do that?
Yeah, so post shows, we often send out surveys to people, and within that, we ask about a current show. So what did you like about it? What didn't you? So we can garner information about that type of material. But we also, at the end of every season, send out an email to anybody who's bought a ticket from us saying, what would you like to hear?
Love that.
What do you want to see? What are shows that you like?
Yeah.
And also, what are things that'll challenge you?
Oh, yeah.
What can we bring to you to make you think? Because sometimes some of my favorite shows are something I didn't know I was going to like.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
for sure.
yeah.
That's
Or
awesome.
you can also just email me.
Yeah, I love that. So, David, I know that one of the things that you've been through, you were with the Dayton Gay Men's Chorus, which, again, that momentum got going.
Yeah.
Do you feel that there's momentum coming back to the theaters in the Dayton area?
There is. I mean, the impact that COVID had on the theater industry, I mean, is insurmountable. It's really out there. So, the momentum has taken a little bit longer than expected.
For sure.
But it is there. It is definitely there.
Yeah.
And so I think that as we continue to build upon this and do our community outreach and really, connect with the community, they're going to respond in kind.
Yeah.
And I know that, Mackensie and I, we've worked on a lot of things for the future that, are going to really be community focused and different than what anybody else can find somewhere.
So you guys have both been on the stage. So, what has been one of your favorite roles that you've got to play over the years?
Oh, The Baker's Wife and Into the Woods.
What a role.
I knew that answer was coming. I could have told you that.
That is a role for the ages.
Yes,
That's
I waited so many times. I've done Into the Woods 5 times.
Yes.
I just kept going at it until I got the role I wanted.
That's so awesome, though. And I mean, and Mackensie, you killed. That was at UD.
Yeah.
Speaking of, venues were not normal. Which we'll talk about that in a second. But what about you, Dave? What role have you loved to be? Or
oh my gosh,
a show you were in you loved?
I mean, I when I was just a little tyke. I mean, I did Into the Woods too. And I played the baker back in the day. That wasn't one of my favorite roles.
Oh my God, the baker! Look at this! I've got the whole
Here we
cast.
are. I mean, we have the fitting, the clothing, the
That's
colors.
true. There it is.
But I really enjoyed. I did the producers with TheatreLab last year, so I got on stage with the company as well.
So much fun.
And what I liked about the roles I played like 8 different characters, 8 different roles, and that just I don't know, it freed me up. I was like I could have so much fun with every character I was working on. So that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
The process for me on that was incredible.
If money wasn't an issue, What show would you produce for TheatreLab? What would you put together for TheatreLab if it didn't matter how much it cost?
Ragtime.
Oh my gosh, it's one of my, I just got goosebumps.
Yeah, it's
one of my
just
favorites.
beautiful. I think it tells a really important story for what's going on right now.
Especially.
But you need a huge orchestra and you need like 60 people to do it, I think, in the way that it needs to be
Yeah.
done. So you need lots of support behind it. But hey, if someone
Yes.
wants to support it,
Yes.
I'll put it on for you.
Right. What about you, David? What would you love to see put on the stage?
Well, as the board president, I rely on my artistic director. Every day to teach.
Oh, brother.
I don't think I have one. I mean, I do lean into. I don't want to just copy what she said. Ragtime was one of the first big productions that I ever fell in love with, and I was in college then when that first came out, or at least was on tour. And I remember going down to the Aronoff Center in Cincinnati 4 times by myself to see Ragtime.
Yeah.
And I mean, so I really appreciate that. And you're right. It's extremely timely. The history aspect, fits so well here in Dayton too, because we do have so much history that went into that.
Yes.
So yeah, that'd be my answer for now.
Yeah. Well, and every time I hear Wheels of a Dream, I can hardly control myself. It's just
The tears
kills
flow.
me.
Yeah.
Brings out the big gay in me, and that. But anyway, getting back to what we were talking about. So we're talking a lot about theater. We were just talking to the human race people a couple weeks ago, and one thing we were talking about is Dayton lacks this idea of a round table. Theater round table. Speak to that, because I know you were talking about how Columbus has done this. It's been successful. Speak to that.
Yeah, I really think it could help our community to have a coalition.
Yes.
Where we're bringing these companies together and we're talking about the same problems. We all are dealing with the same things. Finding younger audiences, getting people engaged, how do we get sponsors? And I think coming together as a community and saying we can be a resource to each other would really help our community see us as strong.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. It's working in other cities, Cincinnati, Columbus, and Dayton can get on that.
Yes,
train.
and when I brought that up to them, they were both like, why are we not doing this?
Yeah.
So from your aspect, David, I mean, I think probably one of the biggest things is there's a strength that another theater has that we could borrow off of. How would that help TheatreLab and everybody if we kind of combine that way?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what I said earlier. So, we operate in a bubble sometimes, and we lose sight, and we start to see other arts organizations or theaters as like competitors.
Yeah.
And they're not competitors.
They're not competitors.
No. We want everyone to thrive. I want Dayton Playhouse's shows to sell out. I want Human Race shows to sell out. I want all of those to be successful. So, but you're right. There are people that, for instance, I know that, like Dayton Playhouse has a tremendous, set crew and lighting people that have worked with them for years. And, to feed off of that energy and learn from them. We have, dancers and collaborators that we've worked with here at TheatreLab that maybe someone else out there has never really had an opportunity to be exposed to.
Yeah.
And to share that opportunity with them. I mean, once you really get that synergy going, we all win at the end of the day.
It's so true. And when you're talking about other cities and how this coalition idea is working, I think it's what the problem is. It's somebody stepping in at first.
Yeah.
If we can just get somebody to make that step and go, I think it would absolutely work.
And it snowballs.
Yeah, it does snowball. And I think even if you only had 3 theaters at the beginning, the idea that exists would be such a big deal for everybody. I know you and your husband are very involved in TheatreLab. Tell us a little bit about how that kind of works.
Yeah, we were original members of TheatreLab previously Dare to Defy.
Yes.
Back as just artists.
Yes.
And so we've kind of grown up together within this company.
Which
and
is so cool.
he is our
Yes.
shop manager.
Yes.
And it's
And
really
amazing. He's amazing. Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
he can really lift. But it works really well because we can bounce ideas off of each other and he can take my mumbling and turn it into just brilliance. And it's really nice to, I think, for other people that are younger and have families to see that like it can be done.
Yeah.
And you can both do the things you're passionate about if you have a day job. Like,
wonderful.
yeah.
It's awesome. So David, talking about these kind of things that are going on with the boards and everything else, there's a big thing about Dayton and it's being the hub of this creative sense. Do you feel that when you're in all the things you're doing in our city, the synergy of this whole idea of being artistic and creative?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
The city was founded on, innovation and engineering and new things.
True.
And so I think that only makes sense for new artistic things to also come out of this city.
Yes.
And there's a need and there's a want for them. And it goes beyond just, theatrical performances. We have a philharmonic, we have a ballet, we have an opera company. I mean, those three things in a city like Dayton, you don't find that unless you're going out to like Pittsburgh or something.
It is. It's crazy. Yeah.
It's insane. We also have a huge festival community that celebrates culture and arts and diversity.
Good point. Yeah.
And so that's one thing that I know that Mackenzie's passionate about, I'm passionate about, is we make sure that TheatreLab is a very diverse organization too. When we put on these shows and reach out to sponsors, we don't want the usual suspects to always be present. We want to diversify and really be a representation of what our area is.
Yes. So I know you guys have kind of got a season put together for this year. And I would love, is there like a theme? Is there an idea behind this year?
Yeah, so we have a theme of taking back their stories.
Oh, I love that. What do you mean by that for our listeners?
Yeah. So all of the characters that you'll find in the season that I can't quite announce just yet.
Yeah, I know. I get it.
They all are really reclaiming themselves and what it is to be who they are and how they are in their skin. So within every show, you'll see that, they really just are ready to step out and be themselves. And I think that's post-COVID really important for people to take in. Like, it's okay to stand in who you are, especially in, 2024.
Yeah. How does sponsoring work with TheatreLab? I mean, what would people need to do if they were interested in such a thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Mackensie said it time and time again, you can go to our website, you can get involved, come and see a show, reach out to a board member, reach out to an artistic person, reach out to a cast member. We really have focused this year on diving into the community and kind of reaching out there and saying, hey, we want to support your business. We want to give you a platform. We think you mesh really well with what we're doing.
Yeah.
Can we collaborate on this?
Love that.
And so I think that's been a great launching pad for us. And we're just going to continue to, expand upon this as we go throughout the season.
Which I think you were speaking to when you're talking about Mudlick.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, what a cool idea.
Yeah.
They're going to be at the second floor of Mudlick doing a show. And I think when you go into those community pieces, the word spreads in a whole different way. It's a great way to build a new avenue. What other ideas would you love to see happen outside of Mudlick? Where would you love to put on a show in Dayton? There's plenty of opportunities.
Oh, I have a big one.
We got a big
So if they're
one.
listening, give me a call. I would love to do Sunday in the Park with George at Dayton Art Institute.
I just got goosebumps again. This is a weird goosebump day. That's a great idea.
Yeah,
incredible.
I think listen to the art piece and take that art piece in a place that it makes sense.
Yes. That's a great idea. And actually, they have that beautiful theater
I know.
at the Dayton Art Institute.
It's gorgeous.
I was lucky enough to get to do a show in there. I mean, it doesn't have a lot of space behind, but it's just got that feel, that really, really cool feel over at the Art
Absolutely.
Institute.
Things like that, though, just finding places that speak to the material we're doing and saying, let's come to you. Let's get you new people in your space, and then we get new audience members from your audience.
Yes, I mean, that's the thing about Dayton. It's small enough that makes a huge impact. It really does. Anything else you guys can tell us about the upcoming season, or anything you want to tell us about TheatreLab in general that might be exciting for our people that you can think of?
Well, I think this season, and that's, I wanted to piggyback on what Mackensie said too, is that one thing about TheatreLab is that they do have an overarching theme for the season.
Love that. Great idea.
It really pulls all the shows together. You know why those shows have been selected.
Yeah.
One of the things we're doing this year also is some cabaret style stuff.
Yes.
We're going to try and take all those different artistic people and companies that we have across Dayton and put them all together into a singular show. So
That's
we kind
so
of
great.
showcase Dayton, right?
Yes.
I think that's really super exciting. And once again, it brings in people that maybe have never been to a TheatreLab show. Maybe they've never been to a show whatsoever, but they know somebody who's now participating in this part of the cabaret, and they go, I want to check it out.
Yeah.
Well, now they're hooked.
And in talking, because I was talking to Philip this week, we went out and had lunch, and we were talking about this, and I said, there's certain people that don't want to be in a play, but they've got an incredible voice.
Yeah.
So you put this cabaret idea together, and they're like, I'm glad to come and sing a song. It's like, that's exactly what we need.
Yeah, meeting our
people
community halfway.
where they
Yes,
are.
yeah, exactly.
Right back to our little theme today.
Look at that.
You guys, listen, this has been incredible. I'm so glad to hear some of the successes that are going on with TheatreLab. What did you feel after last year? Did you feel good about the season that you had?
Yeah. I mean, I think so. It had a great arch to it, and it was TheatreLab went a little bit outside the box on a few things.
Yes.
And so that was that's really exciting. That keeps, I'm a theater lover. I'm a fan of TheatreLab, obviously.
Yeah.
But that keeps me engaged also.
Yeah.
And I thought it was great.
I agree. There's momentum there. There's real momentum there. Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
There is so much more information you can find about TheatreLab. Just go online. And Mackensie obviously gave you the website that you can pick up as well. Thank you for being at Dayton Drama Queens. We so appreciate you. Guys, we'll see you next time here on the DDQ. Bye-bye.